Yes. Ready.
So we're reading from the book Wherever You Go, There You Are by John Kabat-Zinn. And today we're looking at the topics of you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf, which makes me think of the weather, and also non-doing. So I like this phrase that you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. The waves are our stress in our lives, right? So life is stressful. It is inevitable that we will have stress. What we can do is learn to relate to it differently. So stress over time is chronic stress. Over time is distress. Over time is disease. And stress is implicated in most illnesses. It just exacerbates it. So we want to learn, ways to relate to these stressful events differently. If you're familiar with the Serenity Prayer, the first line is something like, let me accept the things I can't control, you know, and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. So, the first thing is learning, comprehending what we can control and what we can't control. And honestly, our control is within ourselves. We can control our thinking, we can control our emotions, cannot control the weather, can't control tornadoes, hurricanes, destructive winds, heat waves. The climate is pretty extreme right now. So there are a lot of weather events happening. And also we might have a lot of thoughts about that are pretty distressing. And so we have to find ways to calm ourselves down, to clear the mind, to be able to see things more clearly. And so a meditation practice can help us, as they say, respond rather than react. So this, base part of our brain is very reactive. When we can calm that down, the brain functions more fully. And when we get up into the prefrontal cortex, we can see things more clearly, make better choices, and know how to behave. That's the thing, with a teenager. This develops, I don't know, they say now, not until you're somewhere in your 20s. So it's a wonder we've all made it through that time of life. We all have that are here. So that's the image. If you bring to mind like the ocean or a big lake, and you see the waves, and they might be big waves, they might be small waves, might be a calm day, but the winds can come up and the waters can be choppy, the waves can be big. And picture one of those big waves was surfing. Can't stop the wave, but you can learn to surf. And what that means is we can learn a better way to relate to the stressful events in our life. So John Kabat-Zinn says, meditation isn't magic, but it is a tool. It's a tool that helps us relate in this better way. So he says it's on page 31 in the book. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. He says it's possible through meditation to find shelter from much of the wind that agitates the mind. Over time, a good deal of the turbulence may die down from lack of continuous feeding. Ultimately, the winds of life will blow, and meditation is knowing about this and how to work with it. So the next piece is on, can anybody meditate? Well, the answer to that is yes. Many people at the beginning say, well, I can't meditate. But actually, most people can. It's just that it takes effort, it takes discipline, and it takes intention. So the thinking mind wants us to think all the time. Thinking. But actually, we are more than our thinking minds. We're a species called Homo sapiens sapien. So we're not only wise, but we're able to observe our own minds. So we have this additional capacity to be conscious, to be present, to observe our thinking, to observe and name our emotions. It's really pretty incredible, isn't it? There's a bit in here quoting Thoreau. He said, he was on Walden Pond for over 2 years, basically practicing being present. And he said he sat one morning, as it turned out, for hours, listening. It's a form of meditation. Listening, just receiving, not judging. So that's a way to practice, as well as paying attention to the breath. We can pay attention to sensations in our body, and we can pay attention to sound. So these things are always present moment and can be our anchor to the moment. So he says, it takes intention even to practice for 5 minutes. So if you were to pay attention to your breath for 5 minutes, That would be something. Takes intention, takes discipline, takes effort.
That's not always easy to do, as much as when I try to do it, stopping your mind of thinking of other things I mean, it really is difficult. I mean, as much as you say, look, this is what I want to do. I just want to pay attention to my breathing. And I don't know, as much as I try, other things pop in my mind.
Right.
It does take a lot of, take a lot of discipline that I don't know if you ever get trained that you can completely say, look, I'm going to do the 20 breaths thing, even for 20 breaths, much less 5 minutes.
I
Is
was just thinking we should do that. Um,
Mary,
we
Mary, you're muted. Oh, you're saying bye because you got to go. Oh, it's
thank
3 o'clock already. Yes.
thank you, Mary. Until so we live so much of our lives thinking that this idea of being still and paying attention to the breath is actually new. It is new to the thinking mind, and pretty much the mind's not having it. Like, excuse me, we're going to be thinking, thinking, thinking. And so, yeah, it's a new learning. And same thing, Al, about 3 breaths in, I'm thinking about this or I'm thinking about that, right? And so, one way to do the practice is to begin again.
Yeah, that's what I've tried. Yeah, yeah, but said, look, I failed that time. All right, I'm going to try one more time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's just take, what's it going to take? I don't know. It depends how fast you breathe, right? But maybe a minute. Um, and just close your eyes and let's do the 20 breaths. And I'll tell you when the minute's up. In fact, I'm going to sound this little bell because this is a clue to the thinking mind to take a break. And then I'm going to time a minute and just practice the 20 breaths. Eyes closed or gaze lowered. And however you do is however you do. So you can ask yourself how that went for you. Um, that was a minute. Some of us breathe more slowly than others. Some of us breathe faster than others. Not sure how many breaths you can get in a minute. But you were strengthening that muscle, just like, doing an exercise, doing a rep, breathing in and breathing out, strengthening that muscle, that paying attention muscle.
Actually, I think it helps with the bell. If you're doing 20 breaths, you're counting. So already you're doing something other than thinking about your breathing. You're thinking about your count.
Yeah,
And
it's a
I
little
think
different.
that
Uh,
keeps that, so I actually did better with, I didn't keep track. I don't know how many breaths I did. And,
ah,
and so,
interesting. So you
so
could set a timer.
well, that's what I was thinking. You
Yeah,
could set a timer for that, and I
yeah.
think that actually probably helps because otherwise you're already thinking because you're counting, and so now your mind's going, well, I haven't really stopped.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. Um, I used to set a timer for 20 minutes and sit and meditate. And over time, my brain actually learned when 20 minutes was up.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I'd open my eyes and it'd be like 19 minutes and 30 seconds or something. Be like, wow, that's so interesting. Um, yeah, so that's another good way. So I think a really interesting topic that John talks about here is this concept of non-doing. So when we sit in meditation, he says we're cultivating non-doing. It's not that we're doing nothing, but we're cultivating stillness, we're cultivating slowing down, this ability to settle, to calm ourselves. And he says this is super hard for Americans because our culture teaches us to be productive and that we must always be accomplishing something, we must always be doing something, and so if we're not, we're falling short. So it's really hard for us. Um, Personally, for a while, I found it hard to sit and read a book because I felt like I should be doing something. So just to sit and meditate is a big shift. And we're really shifting from being active to and doing to being, Being, which is our species, right? Human beings, Being. So the shift is inward as opposed to outward and external. It helps to close the eyes or lower the gaze to eliminate distractions. So that's really the practice, shifting inward. And it helps us come into some kind of balance. I mean, we can, that phrase, crazy busy. We can be crazy busy. We can just run from one thing to another, and there's just not a moment for any kind of coming back into balance, contemplation, calming ourselves down can lead to burnout, can lead to being overwhelmed. So we need a practice like mindfulness meditation just to help us come back into balance. Um, Sometimes the word equanimity is used, and what that means is balance, coming into a peaceful, a peaceful state. You know, the other interesting thing is when we meditate, the brain clears and, all this confusion begins to settle down and we can think more clearly, we can see things more clearly, and it actually makes us more efficient, makes us operate more efficiently. So we think, oh, gee, I don't have 20 minutes to sit and meditate. Well, you might try it and you might be surprised. It might actually help you do better. And John Kabat-Zinn talks about, if you can practice in the morning, you might find that you have a better day. So for me personally, I find a morning practice to work for me most mornings. Sometimes you just have to get up and go to an appointment, and that's that, and you can practice later. Or you can practice when they're taking your blood pressure. But if you can, to have this daily practice, you'll begin to, um, it will become easier, and it will help you carry it forward into your day and to be more mindful. He also talks about, you don't have to be sitting on a cushion. Um, you can do mindful walking. So you're outside going for your 20-minute walk, and you can just um, observe. You can listen, observe, no judgment. Um, I'm outside a lot walking my dogs, and it's very interesting to me, really, to see how hard it is to be present. I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, I'm thinking about what happened yesterday, I'm thinking about what somebody said, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, going on a mindless walk. And so one thing that I like to do is look at the sky. So every day when I'm outside with my dogs, I look at the sky, and that helps me be present.
I was wondering that when I was reading the book. All right, you don't have to be sitting
Yeah,
to do your mindfulness. You can be exercising. I thought, well, that's going to be a little hard to do. You got to watch where you're going, and things are going to run across in front of you, and your mind's going to get pulled off. But it isn't quite the same as closing your eyes and
right.
sitting and just breathing. I think they said, just think about think about the heat, think about the cold, think about
Oh, the temperature of your air and the
temperature,
skin.
that type of thing. I
That's
think they
good.
said.
Yeah, that's good. So it's really observing. You do have to have your eyes open if you're walking or doing something. The other thing about that, too, depending on what you're doing, is you can pay attention to sensations in the body. So, like if you're, let's say, riding a bike or something, you can pay attention to what that feels like in your muscles, in your bones, in your knees. Uh, your shoulders, your hands, your feet. You can just scan the body for sensation. That is always there. And how much attention do we pay to sensations in the body? Often, ignored, and then the body has to scream at you to get you to pay attention to it. Like, hey, I'm in pain. The other thing he mentions, you can do mindful eating. I love to do this, just to sit down and take a bite and actually pay attention
Mm.
to what I'm eating. It takes us, if you make your own food, it takes a while to make a meal, but we can devour it quite quickly. So and we might be in a group, and there's talking and conversation, and so, but to take a mindful bite, just one bite, and just pay attention to taste, smell, texture, any sensations. So we have a lot of opportunities to practice during our day. And if we have a daily practice or a habitual practice, a constant practice, it changes our brain and helps us be more mindful with our daily living. So he has a couple of pages here on the non-doing paradox. So he says that, it's a paradox because non-doing sounds like doing nothing, but he said it's really not. It's cultivating, it's strengthening the ability to be present, to be still, to be calm.
This mindfulness is really working for Maureen's baby. It's completely engrossed in mindfulness right now.
Isn't that great? Yeah. Yeah, think of the innocence of a baby and then all the stuff that gets globbed onto us as we age, right? Yeah, so doing, non-doing. He says it takes courage and energy. So again, we have to be purposeful. And, most of us aren't. Most of us are like gerbils on a treadmill until we learn mindfulness, right? We go through the motions of daily living and check off our to-do list. So we have to really be intentional about having a practice. It is 3:15. Let's do a practice together. Just do a short practice together. And then I'm going to close with the poem. And then we'll have some time to discuss and reflect. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so coming into a posture that supports your practice. If you're sitting, the feet can be flat on the floor. Noticing the support of the chair and the support of the floor. The spine can be erect, holding you up as best you can. And the arms can be relaxed by the sides. Hands resting in the lap. Maybe you like to have your hands on your thighs. Can be palms down or palms up, or maybe one hand resting inside the other. So finding a comfortable hand posture for you. And the eyes can be closed or the gaze lowered. Bringing the attention to the breath. Let's begin with 3 deep, slow breaths at your own rate. A deep breath in and a slow breath out. Deep breath in, slow breath out. If it's available, you can breathe in through your nose. And if you choose, you can breathe out through your mouth. Might even be a sigh. A deep breath in and out through your mouth, a sigh. Letting go. So it doesn't take long before these thoughts arise. And we want to acknowledge there's thinking. I see you, thoughts. And then we can let them go. Not really get on board with the thoughts. One thought leading to another. But just seeing thoughts arise and letting them go. There are a couple of good images that can be helpful. We can see the mind as a vast blue sky, and these thoughts that arise as clouds. And we can just watch them drift by. Also, there's the image of a train of thoughts. One thought leads to another, and you can choose not to get on the train. Because if you do get on the train, you'll find yourself somewhere else rather than here, right now. So breathing in and breathing out. Just resting awareness on this breath. This breath. And now this moment. You've never breathed this breath before, and you have never lived this moment before. Breath in, breath out. And now shifting the attention to sensations in the body. Noticing any sensations on your scalp. Noticing how it is in your jaw right now. Noticing the shoulders, any sensations, tightness, tension in the shoulders. It's a place where we hold a lot. So if you can, just softening the shoulders a little bit, maybe rolling them back. Noticing how it is in your hands right now. Are they hot or are they cold? Are they wet or are they dry? Is there any tingling? Just even noticing the contact of one hand with the other, or the hand on the clothing. Just noticing those sensations. No judgment. There's no right or wrong way to be. Just getting in touch with this moment, these sensations, and the temperature of the air and the skin. Noticing how it feels in the heart right now. Moving the attention to the stomach. How is it in your stomach right now? Are you hungry or satisfied? No sensation at all? A lot of nerve endings in the stomach, in the heart, and in the brain. 3 points of observation as to how you are right now in this moment. And guiding the awareness down into the feet. Noticing contact with a sock or a shoe or floor. Again, the support. Sensation is the body's language. Listening to the body. Listening to the whole body right now. And now opening awareness to any sound. There might be sound in the room you're in, or sound in another part. Or maybe sound outside. Sound in the body. And just receiving the sound as a vibration, No need to judge it or even identify it. Just receiving sound right now and noticing the nature of sound in that it arises and falls away. In between sound, there is a space. In between sensations in the body. You're finding a space and the breath. In between the breath, there's a space. So these are ways to just touch into the present moment, to cultivate our inner consciousness, our inner awareness. We are more than our thinking brain. So just touching into this inner being. Touching into the core, where we are silent and we are strong. Present moment. I'm going to close the practice with a poem by Dana Foles called Allow. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in, the wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your own known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. So we have some time now to share, just to reflect maybe on the reading from John Kabat-Zinn or the practice, or ask any questions.
Yeah, I wish I would have known this back when I was working and used to have to be there at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning and sometimes till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And In the middle of the afternoon, I think I was useless. Sometimes I was just so tired. I always advocated that, if I could have just taken a 15-minute nap, I would have
Yeah.
been much more productive for the rest of the day. They weren't about ready to let me put my head down on the desk during that time period, and there was always somebody coming in my office or that type of thing. However, I had read at the time that, some of the Silicon Valley companies actually did have a room where you could go and actually rest for a time period. It doesn't have to necessarily be going to sleep, but at least taking a break and not being stressed out for a while. So this would have been a good alternative to maybe taking a nap, even though I still think the nap idea was a good idea.
Mhm.
And some companies did adopt that, and I haven't heard anything about that recently, but at least, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, they were thinking about that kind of thing. So this would have helped at that point.
I think um, most of us kind of wish we'd learned mindfulness earlier,
Yeah.
to help us get off that treadmill. When I was department chair at WCC, that was, I felt like a firewoman, always putting out fires and
Yeah.
people coming to see me and all that jazz. And I would try most afternoons to, lock my office, go to a quiet room that I knew about, and meditate for 20 minutes. So that is you were on the right track. If only you could refresh for 20 minutes, you would come back and be much more effective for the rest of the afternoon in your job or evening, right?
Now I do practice that I if I have been involved in so many things still. Either I'm still doing consulting, so
Oh,
I still have I try to call myself retired, but I'm not quite there yet. And as well as doing all the UMRA stuff and that type of thing. But I now just say, look, in the afternoon, I'm going to pick up a book and read for a while, and that often leads to falling asleep. But I can sleep for 10, 15 minutes and wake up and feel completely refreshed. My wife, if she does that, she won't wake up till the next morning. So she has
she's
said,
really tired.
yeah, she said, I can't do that because I will be out for some long period of time. Whereas I don't use an alarm or anything. I just, like you said, with your 20 minutes, my body knows that, look, you don't need any more rest than this. You got what you needed. So
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
You mentioned Silicon Valley. Um, Meditation and mindfulness was a big part of Google. And they had a mindfulness teacher. I can't remember his name, but he wrote a book, something like In Search of the Mind or something like that. And so meditation was available for Google employees, in Silicon Valley. And they probably had a meditation room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd read about. And the other thought I had today was also that there's so many young people that get so stressed out. They're not used to dealing with the waves yet. And
Mhm.
Right.
when a wave hits them that they don't know quite to deal with, unfortunately, an awful lot of them are looking at suicide. I wonder if mindfulness is being taught in any of the, well, particularly junior high or high school areas, I think could be very helpful in reducing the number of suicides that I hear about nowadays because they just don't feel like they can handle. And part of that's the multimedia that is attacking them in all kinds of different directions too. That if they could just take a break and away from all the TikToks and everything else that they get that are stressing them out, they might be better off. It wouldn't be a bad thing to bring into the Ann Arbor school system.
Two things, two studies come to mind. There was a school in Ann Arbor that tried mindfulness,
Mm,
and there was a reference to Buddha, and a parent heard about that and went, just said absolutely not.
no.
Yeah, so
Mm,
it's a little tricky. Um, you're, yeah, and there's a study that was done in Los Angeles in a very rough neighborhood in junior high, where a lot of the kids were gang members, and they were taught mindfulness at a age appropriate for 8 weeks. And at the end of the 8 weeks, you can actually watch this somewhere, maybe on YouTube. Um, they interviewed the students, and this one young man said, I found ways to deal with my anger. And another young girl, she said, I found out I don't have to fight. Um, just because somebody is mean to me, I don't have to beat them up. I can just leave it or walk away, or there are other ways. It was really, really
mm.
powerful.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That would be very helpful, particularly
Hmm.
something like the Watts area or something like that that
Yeah.
had so many issues.
For all kids, for all kids. I have a couple of books. I'm looking at my bookshelf, but just for all kids to learn um, that they don't have, the difference between reacting, just to take a pause, take a breath, take a break. There's so many things in our language that lean to that, right? Like take a break, yeah, or just pause or something. Um, yeah, that would be the more we can share that with young people, the better, right?
I think that would be good. Yes.
Yeah. So Maureen, you need some mindfulness for kids books, but not for a few years. But
Uh, I'm a retired pediatric nursing professor, so uh,
ah,
over the years, especially in the hospital, like techniques that you would learn,
yeah,
work with kids, either through child life or just being in the field for so long and reading, being able to read a kid, not only the child, but the parent. And like before a procedure or whatever.
yeah,
But that the whole idea of like the breathing and even gosh, when I was a young nurse, I used to do that with kids before they had a venipuncture or some kind of procedure done. I'd say, look at me, breathe. And so we've been using those kinds of techniques and maybe not naming them in such a way.
uh-huh,
And now in the
uh-huh,
parenting world, there's all, because both my daughters have young children, and I listen to a lot of podcasts about like parenting now, because I want to stay up to date and not just be the parent or the expert that was, to
yeah,
say, well, we used to do it this way, to stay up to date to how they're feeling now, because they do approach things differently. And one of the things that I've really noticed in the things that I've read and listened to and talking to young parents is that they are very cognizant of children identifying their feelings now, where in the past it wasn't. And to uh, do something about it, not just identify it, but what do you do about it? And so an example I can give is that with my own granddaughter, who is very smart and very she's an emotional child, and you know different types of personalities, and was has had some difficulty with school, and it was a bullying situation, and she's only 6. I hate to tell you that somebody was bullying her at school. That she would come home and be quite reactive, and one of the things that I suggested to my daughters to have a calming space for her. So when she came home and, was kind of being a brat to her mother, that old term, a brat, but that's what she was, and, sassy and, not her personality because she's a very sweet girl, really identified that was, that she needed to be able to control herself. All the love in the world wasn't making that hurt of whatever happened to her at school really go away. And that she had to learn to control that because she had to go back to school the next day and face it again. And it got resolved, but the calming space, they live in an old home. And so there's big closets, and she ended up clearing out a closet and having like her own space there that she had her things she liked, like a little, beanbag chair and some stuffies and, some artwork that she did on the wall. So I think that is very important. And perhaps we as adults need calming rooms for ourselves. And, I find that with just learning this practice that I do have a spot um, where I feel that.
Fascinating. You
Hmm.
know, the teacher Thich Nhat Hanh uh,
Hmm.
talks about having a meditation room in your house. I'm like,
Hmm.
and for everybody,
Hmm.
for the mom and the
Yeah,
dad and the
yeah.
kids, and just like when you need it, a space to go to and practice. Um, maybe have some soothing music.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So I never got around to making a room, but it's really nice. My whole house now is my room, but yeah. But that's great
Hmm.
that she has a calming room.
Hmm.
Yeah.
A good idea, good idea.
Hmm. Hmm. So
I
we
know.
we can do that as adults in one way or another, be it just
Right.
the room where you're most comfortable, where your library is, and you can look at your books or
Yeah.
whatever that is. But I do think that it is uh, good that because children are so stressed now more, that we're identifying those emotional needs sooner and that they're responsible for themselves and trying to learn these techniques too versus trying to back in my day when I was raising children, helicopter parents, or that would just swoop them in so they wouldn't have to let me take that burden from you, which that doesn't do kids any good.
Hmm.
They have to learn those coping skills. So it's a good thing that this kind of evolved from that. That protecting children doesn't help them in this mean world we live in. Um, so,
I'm really happy to hear that
mhm,
because um, it's hard for most people to even know what emotion they're experiencing.
mhm, mhm,
And there are, what, a couple hundred emotions?
mhm,
So, um, wow, that's very encouraging.
mhm,
And it is a mean world,
mhm,
especially today.
mhm,
So, if we can find ways to calm ourselves and to soothe ourselves, then we stand a chance of knowing how, a chance of making better choices and how to behave.
mhm,
Yeah, another group that I'm involved in on Monday nights, we're reading Kara Jewel-Lingo's "We Were Made for These Times." It's a book on meditation. Basically, she's a um, she was a monastic with Thich Nhat Hanh. Um, she lives in California now, but I mean, we're living in a really cruel,
Mhm. We are.
cruel, cruel time, and so we need ways not to be so reactive. And any skill that a kid can learn will serve them for a better adulthood.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy that your grandchildren have you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna remember that with the grandkids. Sometimes even when we have them, they get out of control.
Mhm.
Just to say, all right, I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna tell you to sit down in the corner and just sit and breathe and think about yourself for a minute
Mhm.
and for 5 minutes. Not gonna put you in the corner.
yeah,
You find a calming place and say, all right, look, we both need to calm down, and we're both gonna go do that yeah, that wouldn't be a bad
Yeah.
thing to do.
I think it's important, like you can't do anything about that feeling, but you can ask them and validate how they're feeling versus you shouldn't feel that way.
right.
You can't tell them that. You just say, how are you feeling? I'm feeling sad. I'm sorry you're feeling sad. Why are you feeling sad? Yeah, that would make me sad too. Like just validating. No one wants to be invalidated in how they feel. And that's how kids learn not to voice their opinion, their
Yeah.
feelings about stuff. And then that's when they start beating up other kids and carrying guns. You know, I'm
Mhm.
exaggerating, but I mean,
Well, probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or becoming a brat, like you said, becoming a brat.
it's becoming right.
Yeah, if there's abuse,
Mhm,
it goes wrong.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, nice.
Mm.
Anything else anybody would like to add?
A good session as always. Hopefully, after the summer is over, we get more people back with us. But
Yeah,
that's a nice thing about our shared interest groups. It doesn't have to be 20 people. It doesn't have to be, the 4 or 5 of us get together. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to do.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Always interesting, and we learn from each other. I love it. Yeah, good to
Yeah.
be together. So
So
we are going to be together again in July. Let's see, our next meeting is July 15, and we're reading pages 47 to 64. Ah, so those topics are patience, letting go, non judging, trust, generosity. These are really good because these are qualities of mindfulness. So
Yeah.
these are qualities that we do want to cultivate. Patience, right there, we could spend the whole hour and a half, right? Yeah. So no meeting in August, and then we'll be back again in September.
okay. So
Okay.
pages 47 to 64 is what you said,
Correct.
and we'll meet on July 15th at 2:30.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
And I'll try to remember not to send out 2 invitations next.
I got a little confused, sorry.
I did. Well, I thought it was better than having some people sign in one place and some people sign in the others.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even realize I had done that till I went to check to make sure I had done any. And I went, oh my gosh, I set up, it was in between trips. We were in Greece for 2 weeks, got home for 3 days. Had a daughter came visit during that time period from Connecticut, and then left for a conference in Florida. And then we always turn those into a vacation also. So we were gone for another 10 days. And somewhere in there, I set it up. And when I came back, I'd forgotten I'd done it. And so
Yeah,
I'll
understandable.
try to just set up one. Maybe I'll set it up now, then I won't forget.
And then put a check mark done.
Yeah. Yes.
All good.
Okay. Thanks again, Paulette, for leading us through this.
Thank
It's
you.
My
very
pleasure.
helpful.
Thank you very much for being here.
Namaste.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, end recording. I have to end recording.